Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, EchoBase's weekly handicapping podcast, sponsored by FanDuel Racing, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. Download that FanDuel app and bet today with FanDuel Racing. And of course, I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I'm thrilled to welcome for the first time on the show Matt Vagvolgyi, prominent Race Lens user who also finished third in the 2019 NHC, on the show to discuss and give his picks for the 151st running of the Grade 2 Clark Stakes, the day after Thanksgiving, this Friday at Churchill Downs. Matt, so excited to have you on the show, bringing your nearly 20 years of handicapping experience. Loved your past videos with our old friend Pete Fornatale and In the Money Media. So thanks so much for being here on the show today.
Yeah, I love being here. Appreciate you having me. And nothing better than some good racing right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, heck of a weekend, honestly, all throughout North America. But anyway, we will get into that Clark very shortly here. But Thanksgiving is here, and so is Black Friday. Starting on Wednesday through December 1st for the Black Friday deals, we're doing 50% off EchoBase Premium Pass performances, as well as 50% off Race Lens annual subscriptions. So you'll save $500 on that annual subscription starting on Wednesday. If you do already have a Race Lens active subscription, have no fear. You take advantage of that deal. It just tacks on to your subscription time. So use that code Black Friday on the bottom of your screen right there, all in caps, one word, at checkout to take 50% off your premium PPs or an annual subscription to Race Lens. And the race to the NHC returns this Saturday on November 29th, which sends two people with a seat to NHC 2026. You must have an active Race Lens subscription to play in the free race to NHC, but the top two finishers in each one of these weekly feeder contests on horseplayers.com will make it to the Race Lens Final 50 contest in February, and the top two Race Lens Final 50 contestants earn a seat to NHC 2026, plus a travel voucher and a 4-night stay at Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas. So learn more and sign up today at echobase.com/NHC. We're still in that little bit of a blues, a lull after the Breeders' Cup. There's still plenty of good racing action in 2025. And this past weekend at Churchill, our featured race of the week on Saturday was the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf. My Chapman's Peak, who I picked on the show, ran a very game second, I thought, by a head in his first graded stakes start to Giacoso, who came flying at the end to take the Commonwealth Turf. Trainer Keith Sorma, Jose Ortiz was first time riding him out at Del Mar. 1-9 heavy favorite Nevada Beach got the job done. Not the prettiest way, I'll be honest, but did win the Grade 3 Native Diver Stakes by half length for trainer Bob Baffert with Juan Hernandez aboard. On Sunday at Aqueduct, Fast Market swung 4 wide on the final turn to win that Grade 3 Pebble Stakes by 1.5 lengths, earning a career best 104 EchoBase speed figure for trainer John Terranova. Flavian Pratt, who had a 5-win day, by the way, on Sunday at Aqueduct. And then the Grade 3 Red Carpet Stakes at Del Mar on Sunday capped off the weekend's graded stakes races with Mrs. Astor, 5-year-old mare by Looking at Lucky, going back-to-back in that Grade 3 Red Carpet Stakes for trainer Jonathan Thomas with Umberto Rispoli aboard, and earned her 5th consecutive triple-digit EchoBase speed figure. That late rally going from 6th and that 5th point of call, surging late to get up in time to win by a head over Public Assembly. But here we go, what everybody's been waiting for, the 151st running of the Grade 2 Clark Stakes. Race 11 on Friday's card at Churchill Downs with the 5:54 p.m. Eastern Post. Mile and an eighth on the dirt for 3-year-olds and up, with a field of 9 this year. Legendary horses have won this race in recent history. You got Silver Charm in 1998, St. Liam 2004, Einstein, love that horse, 2008, Blaine 2009, Wise Dan 2011, Shackleford 2012, We'll Take Charge 2013, Gunrunner 2016, and the list goes on. But last year's winner was Rattle and Roll for trainer Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard. Rattle and Roll is back, entered in here this year with a 7-2 morning line in post 6. So, Matt, what are your kind of thoughts in here? Is Rattle Roll on your ticket? How do you think this pace scenario will play out? What did you think about this year's edition of the Clark?
Well, I think overall the field is incredibly difficult. I think you can go a lot of different directions here. I think it's extremely competitive. On a pace perspective, I do seeing it being a pretty hot pace up front. But interestingly, I think horses that are up close to that pace have not only on the Equibase scale, but on my own personal pace figures to have really good finish. So I do see a hot pace again. Your question of rattle and roll on my ticket. I'm gonna go different directions than rattle and roll. I'm also gonna look to take Hit Show and First Mission off that ticket as well. And the reason being, I think rattle and roll might have too much to do in the end. I do think there's horses that are going to be closer to that pace that have just a better finish. Rattle and roll certainly has an incredible late pace figure, but I just think will be asked to do too much late. In terms of First Mission and Hit Show, they're kind of like the same horse for me. I don't know which version I'm going to get, especially with Hit Show. If you want to play the every other angle, I would probably go against Hit Show, right? It's going to be the one you don't want. But again, all three of those incredibly, really talented horses. I just want to go in different directions here and try to beat some horses that will take some money in this race.
Oh, wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, with Rattle and Roll, I mean, he's just kind of seemed different since he's come back from the Saudi Cup and the Dubai World Cup, and then Hit Show honestly did not have him winning that Grade 3 Fayette last time out, and that's a good pattern you saw. Yeah, 1-4-1 and maybe not off, and yeah, First Mission, Hit Show, pretty similar as well, but I guess hard to ignore Brad Cox having two entries in here in a graded stake at any point in time.
Yeah, it's usually the definition of stupidity to go against Brad Cox here in a race like this. But again, with a competitive field, I think you do have to take some shots against, and you can't really include everybody, right? You're gonna dilute your payouts no matter what you're playing, whether playing within the race or multi-leg exotics. So you got to kind of look to some different directions, and that's kind of what I did here.
So why'd you land on Gosker? I have him in third. His ultra consistency is kind of what was key to me. But what were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I agree. Very consistent. Has kept really good company. I understand there's multiple horses in this race that have beaten Gosker, but I think more or less looking at this in terms of how I think this pace is going to set up, I do think Gosker is going to be very close to this pace early, and is probably going to sit in maybe that second fray of horses, and has really good finish. I think this horse can finish very well. The other thing too is looking at it from a blinkers perspective. I think you got it up on the screen there. I think Brendan Walsh does this very well, and also first time blinkers. So I think that's an addition that might help this horse kind of retain some of that energy. Saez and Walsh together have done well. I also like to see, I've said this many times with Race Lens, I like to see the progression of the kind of jockey confidence come through on the numbers. And you're seeing that come through with Saez. So that's always a positive stance there as well. I would completely toss the PA Derby, obviously, and I think ran huge ran huge at Keeneland. So again, I just think that this horse, like you said, is incredibly consistent. I think is going to get the right pace set up and can finish well, has kept extremely good company, and I think is going to be very, very difficult in this race when it comes down to the wire.
I agree. Great thoughts from the great Matt Vagvolgyi. Sorry, I got it wrong this time. But anyway, I went with Magnitude. Definitely very competitive race. And this horse, just interesting. A 3-year-old, not this time colt. Steve Asmussen, Jose Ortiz back aboard for the first time since that Grade 3 Lecomte back in January at Fairgrounds. They finished 6th by 2 3/4 lengths together, but it was a sloppy track. Just an interesting colt, I think, all around. Broke his maiden his second career start, 7 furlong dirt sprint at Ellis by 5 3/4 lengths. Then his first start at Churchill ran 7th in the Grade 3 Iroquois in December, and then dropped in class to win an allowance optional claim at Churchill last November around this time of year to win by a length. He shipped to Fairgrounds in December, run 2nd by 6 3/4 lengths in the listed Gunrunner Stakes to Built. Then after that was at Lecomte in January. Then about a month later, he just dominates the Grade 2 Risen Star by 9 3/4 lengths. That's a 43-1, which is crazy. In his first start at that 1.125 distance, earning a 105 Equibase speed figure. Definitely a good Derby contention, but he was taken off the Derby Trail due to an ankle chip stemming from that race. So he resurfaces nearly 5 months later in July of this year after surgery. Just amazing form. Dominated the list at Iowa Derby by 9 1/4 lengths. Prairie Meadows earning a 111 Equibase speed figure. I just thought it was really impressive first off the layoff. A nice improvement from a 105 to a 111 after that layoff. And in August, he makes his first Grade 1 bid in the Traverse, runs third to Sovereignty and Bracket Buster, who actually came back to win the Oklahoma Derby as well in his next start. And running third in a Grade 1 is nothing to dismiss, especially with Sovereignty in there. And, unfortunately, that was the last time we saw Sovereignty as well. So fingers crossed he comes back for a 4-wheeled campaign. But Gosker, after that Traverse Stakes, heads to Parks for the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. Runs second by 2 1/4 lengths to Baeza, who I just think was really due for a win in a Grade 1. I just don't think anybody was going to beat him that day. And he earned a career best 113 Equibase speed figure. Magnitude did for that effort. His second start at that 1.125 distance. I just think Magnitude is getting better and better with age. He was certainly a talented juvenile colt, but he's just even better as a 3-year-old. Winning a second from this 1.125 distance, has a win over the Churchill Dirt as well. The nice little race lens angle. This actually hits pretty good. Horses in graded stakes races who finished runner-up in a Grade 1 in their most previous start, they're coming back to win at 26% over the last year from 93 total starts, 59% in the money. This includes horses like Fierceness, Sovereignty, Journalism, Nisos, Test Score, Sierra Leone, She Feels Pretty, Nitrogen. List goes on. Working well. Nice late pace figure, as you can see there, with a 116 that's ranked third in here. I thought 9 2 was a solid price. I think we're going to get it with this level of competition.
Yeah, I think a couple of things to add there. Looking at potential, again, I don't know what the weather's going to be, but potential weather. You get some moisture in the track, I would certainly upgrade this horse as well. I do see potentially a world where Magnitude can get the lead.
Yes.
And has shown to be incredible on the front end of really controlling that pace well. As you mentioned, a 116 late pace is huge. If you can get the lead and settle, this race might be over quickly. The only problem, the other side of that, is there's potential for Magnitude to get held out very wide off the start as well. So you've got some really good early pace to the inside. So again, that's one of those I wanted to put this horse on top of those. That's kind of the reason why I went down a notch low. But again, I agree with everything you said there. Upgrade if there's some moisture in the track. But again, I do see a world where this horse might clear and it could be over quick.
I mean, those are kind of his best performances really on that front end. But yeah, that is a concern way out there in the 9-hole. We'll see how he does. But, honestly, it's kind of like Gio Coso last week as well in the Commonwealth Turf. You got Ben Curtis switching to Jose Ortiz, which I just think is a huge plus. No knocks on Ben Curtis. I think he's a very good rider, especially on turf. But Jose Ortiz, I mean, he's second in the Churchill standings right now. So I think that's a huge plus for Steve Asmussen as well. And who else did you get in there? The 5, Chunk of Gold. That was an interesting one. Oh, man, I really looked at that horse and really interesting. He does have the best late pace rating as well, and a lot of green on there for me for my race lens angles as well. But what are your thoughts on Chunk of Gold?
Yeah, I mean, you had one of them on there that I like as well. When looking at graded stakes at Churchill, dirt routes with the best late pace figures, done extremely well. Very nice positive ROI. So again, but also think Chunk of Gold is going to be close to the pace as well, right? So
Yeah.
again, I think won't be on the lead. We'll probably sit off the pace. And again, we'll get the right trip. So I would say it's kind of trip dependent with this horse. I know this horse is certainly going to be up against it with a lot of talented horses that I think on paper are much better. But again, I think with that kind of late pace, being up close to that early pace, I think is helpful. And another one I'll throw out there just for a race lens angle. We've been playing around lately with this. Is what I call the blowout win angle, where you're coming off of a win that's 5 or lengths. You're winning by 5 or more lengths, coming back to your next race. So what I like about race lens, you start off with something that's real basic, and then you can start to drill down and go a lot of different directions. So I've gone with like first time starters going into their second start. Here I've gone in terms of the layoff, right? So that blowout win coming in around that month to 40-day layoff. 29% winners, 64% of them are in the money, and a positive 61% ROI. So, again, a stat that I like, coming a horse that's coming in not only off a big win like that, but how do they do when they come in without a long layoff? At least in our standards here, not a long layoff. It seems to do extremely well. So again, I thought this is a horse that you're probably going to get all of that 10-1 and potentially more, considering all the other horses that are in here. I felt this is a horse at a price that could get the right setup. I think has a solid late pace, good finish in the end will be right there, and a couple stats to support it.
Yeah, definitely my pick as well. If you're going for value, and just another thing I want to point out with Chunk of Gold, I love horses who were bought like this for $2,500 a yearling, and now he's almost made $1 million. How cool! It's like no balls. $3,500 yearling purchase at $2 million now in earnings. But yeah, he was just so visually impressive at Keeneland. I was there that day, and I was just like, wow. And earning a 114 Equibase speed figure, that's very, very impressive. And finishing second to Magnitude way back in that grade 2 versus Star as well at 43-1. I forgot what that exacta paid for that, but that was nuts. Hit Show is one that I put him in. I just don't know, exactly how he's going to be. Oh, excuse me. Let me see if I can switch to Hit Show. I got 3 different screens in front of me, but going with the older, I did like the fact he's 5. Over Magnitude, he's 3. So I think that experience, and he's coming back running the exact same races he did last year as well, from the West Virginia Governors to Lucas Classic to Fayette to Clark. I love Irad Ortiz Jr. going back on here. Yeah, very similar pattern, and you just never know what you're going to get. But he is the Dubai World Cup winner, and he just loves Churchill as well. Well, maybe loves this distance a little bit more. 7 for 12 in the money with 5 wins at the mile and 8th distance, but he does have 2 wins from 7 starts at Churchill. And Brad Cox, Irad Ortiz, I think they're winning at 27% so far these last 3 years. 25 wins from 91 starts in the Kentucky circuit. So I'm going to put him in there. I just don't necessarily see him winning. I thought Magnitude would just had it for me, and I do like Oscar as well for all the reasons you had in the ultra consistency.
Yeah, I think again, Brad certainly places these horses perfectly, right? That's why the numbers are what they are, right? So again, I would not be pushing back too hard by having Hit Show in there. Again, it's just one of those in terms of equity from the pools of how you're going to play it. It's more of the more you spread out in this race, I think the more difficult it's going to be, or more inclusive you become in this race. I think the more difficult it's going to be to make some money. And another thing with Magnitude as well, the form of Saratoga to Churchill to Saratoga has been extremely well. That's a fun angle. I love playing at Saratoga the last couple of years, and it's gone vice versa as well. So that's another, I think, upgrade when it comes to Magnitude. But like I said, I wouldn't push too hard back on Magnitude. But again, I think a really good, really solid race in a lot of different directions you can go.
Absolutely. Very solid race for the day after Thanksgiving. Going to be very cold for all my Kentucky people out there. I think it's like a high of 35 on Friday. So stay warm out there at Churchill. Matt, thank you so much for being on. This has just been a pleasure to have you and fun talking about this race. And for everybody out there, good luck in all your wagers this weekend. We'll see you next week.